I was running the prototype of the Bluetooth adapter and I noticed that the LEDs over here weren't coming on. Actually, I think I only had a green LED, so there was no charging going on. I couldn't work out what was up, so I assumed that the soldering of the chip had finally failed, so I took it off, put another one on. That didn't work either. I had no lights here at all, so I took that off, put another one on. That didn't work either. So I took that off, and as I was taking that off, I pulled a pad up, which has sort of destroyed the footprint here. So what I've decided to do is make another PCB and remove that IC. I'm not going to use that IC, the footprint just doesn't work for me. And I managed to find some power path charger ICs which actually have an SO footprint, which will be much easier to solder, and more importantly, much easier to inspect once I've soldered it. That's the real problem here. It's not soldering that is the problem, it's knowing that I have soldered it correctly and I haven't shorted pads or left pads open circuit. So that's what I've done, and it will have all this tidied up as well. So all these modifications on this first prototype will be on the board. So it'll be, other than that, exactly the same, apart from the charger. So I should be able to move on with that and check that that hardware works. The code, I haven't really done a lot on the code. I can do that on here. I've essentially shorted out the battery charger there. So the only way I can now power this is through the external DC. That goes through the regulators and then goes in and powers the Pico, which generates the 3.3. The separate regulator for the room. So I can write code on this, and I'll do that. I've got some time coming up in the near future where I'll be able to work on quite a lot of code. And I've already done the board. The boards are off and they're probably finding their way back to me at the moment. So that's where we are with that. Everything's sort of working okay, but having a bit of trouble, as you can see, with the power supply on this one. It is fairly complicated with the different voltages that chips can handle and so on. So prototype number 2 coming.